it's nice to get, from the zoo and things like that. You'll get some transit people that are coming. Fort Worth now, I guess historically, we were talking earlier about some of the stuff with all the music, or not music, but the movie Landman and Taylor Sheridan, and bringing that whole new world that Fort Worth really never had.
Right.
So Fort Worth now starting to become more of a destination place.
Mm-hmm.
But people, of course, our Fort Worth Zoo, which is phenomenal, but in North Side, and that the historical stuff there. And now with the Landman, this new era of mini, they've been calling Fort Worth like this little mini Hollywood, but we're seeing these guys. We had guys came in just the other day into Rex's, and they were stunt doubles for. We talked to them for Tom Cruise and Mark Wahlberg and all these guys, and it's amazing how when you look at them, they look just like them, like stunt doubles. But they're it was a group of 8 of them. They're camera. People don't think about it like the big movie stars, but all the people that are involved with it, the cameraman, the stunt men, all of the guys that are behind the scenes, so it's really brought
set
a lot
decorators
of all the things that you don't think about. So that's been a nice addition to see those folks that are coming from all over the country and kind of embracing our culture of Fort Worth, and what's neat is to kind of see how they've all embraced like the historical side of it, the Fort Worth culture, which I think, to me, the culture is really, really important, especially for, the Fort Worthians, it's one of those things where we take pride in, stabilizing our culture of our history, you know what I mean? So I think that's been a good thing, for us locally.
Mary, you've had some other TV folks too. All of y'all talk about your Landman and Madison and all the new show. The Madison is premiering tonight, Larry. I know people may be watching this from now till Kingdom Come, but as we're here, the Madison premieres tonight, and now they're shooting more shows. Lioness, all being shot right now, and people working all over Fort Worth and North Texas on it. So.
It's been great for Fort Worth, and I think our mayor and city council, they've embraced it and gone to Austin to get money, and I mean, we need to really embrace it because it's our survival.
Well, we're grateful to have all these actors that come, or the actors that do come into our restaurants. What I would like to do, and I did 2 of those shows just to see how I could get into their catering, break into their catering, is get some of those catering jobs. I know that there was a lot of money that was funded for the entertainment industry. It'd be nice if some locally owned restaurants could get that catering that they have, because their budget is tremendous.
I've got a lady, Sandy Flowers, helps me do the bike drive. She does the toy part of the bicycle giveaway. And for 40 years, that's what she did in Hollywood. She catered, and she told me, she said, God, why didn't they come here to Fort Worth back then? I wouldn't have gone out there. And she told me it was astronomical. And the quirks that different actors, she talked about, some of them, Tom Cruise, she wasn't really great about what he wanted, certain things, but different actors, how they were so nice to work with. But she said those contracts were unbelievable.
Yes, yeah.
I guess we don't have a barbecue person here. I know they have Brandon Hurtado from Hurtado who does some of their stuff. So I think they do have local folks working some of the trucks. But then they have the regular. I mean, there's people who are in the shows who are also do the cooking, who also run the food truck.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
They feed a lot of people. The extras. I think they have to be there for at least 12 hours.
I did 2 of them. I said I'll never do it again.
It is a long day. It's 12 hours. I mean, my dog was in it.
Oh, yes,
They had, my dog was an extra. I haven't been in one, but they said, hey, we need a pretty dog. Can we use your dog? Well, it involved taking my dog out to Haslett for 12 hours and her walking up and down the same street 18 times in the sun to get just the right shot. And it just,
for just 30,
not
even 30
less than
seconds.
that, 2 glimpses, but it was great. It was wonderful of them to do. It's just
sometimes those caterings are what push you over you're being out of the red for that week,
Exactly.
We survive on a lot of caterings. So that could be something that we could look into.
Yeah.
You know, and this as they're filming more and doing more. You know, when it's slow during spring break and stuff, and
Or if there's a central body who's handling most of that for the folks, if it's maybe somebody from Visit Fort Worth or somebody who, a lot of times, you know, when they come in, they're going to look to one.
You have somebody ringleading the.
Yeah, but that would be a great thing, especially with everybody coming in to like kind of push from the local, you know, Fort Worth.
Well, y'all are kind of ignoring the fact that Rex, y'all talk about this, that Taylor is a competing restaurateur with y'all too now.
Yes,
so
now.
Taylor runs his own restaurant and
He does.
does quite a bit of business. So talk about that a little bit. What's that now?
Well, I mean, I think again, obviously with the, you know, the whole cattlemen's and bringing, I say resurgence, again, it pushes the whole stockyards and it pushes the whole stigma and it pushes the whole culture and it revitalizes it again more. And I think for the bigger picture for everybody, the vibrance of the town, everybody benefits from. Like when you say competitor, I don't see competitor. I think everyone here is, I think this is stability
Yes.
and
Right.
bringing people
Right.
again, obviously, and we'll touch on World Cup here in a minute because there's a whole world of that. But you know, having the culture of different uniqueness of each and everybody sitting here, that's what people from other cities like. When we travel, a few times we get the opportunity to in our business,
Right.
but when we're able to go somewhere, we want to see, you know, the diversity. We want to go to, you know, a chef cuisine. You know what I mean? We want to go. You know, we want to go to these different places.
Sure.
And I think that's what, when you say Taylor Sheridan, that just brings the lure. That's the sizzle in the bacon.
Michael, have you gone to Cattleman since you read that?
Not since it's been redone.
Mary, I know you and I have been this week. Have you gone? Rex?
I've seen so I've had an opportunity. I didn't get to eat, so I saw when they were like when I say down on
The club
below.
Mhm.
My partner and one friends that they're, I guess, a member in that. So they, you know, he's shown me some of the stuff over there, and it's, you know, the who's who and fancy stuff over there.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful what, you know, what they've done. So I think but I
Yeah,
have
good.
not had a chance to actually eat there in years. We haven't been there in a while, but I've heard nothing but, you know, phenomenal things about
What
it.
is the deal with that private club?
Cattleman's, well, the deal is, you know, better write your check, Larry. I mean,
It's
that's the big
$2,000
deal.
a year.
You come on, you know, you write your check, you come on in and be part of that. But it's, you know, but the restaurant is really nice. I mean, you don't have to be part of the club. You know, the restaurant, I think, is kind of, I mean, I don't know what y'all think. I mean, I write Cattleman's now up alongside Riata as the big destination places. And I mean, it's sure, every time I've been, it's been perfect. And the lunch crowds have picked up now because the stockyards is getting so much more business in the daytime.
Mhm.
Stockyards used to be busy at night, and you go there now, and even there would be crowds around the herd, but now all day long, it's
Yeah,
packed.
it's a national destination.
Yeah, it's packed out there, and I tell people there's very few restaurants that every time I go it's perfect, and every time I've been to Cattleman's it's been perfect, and really, you know, it's really impressive.
So you talked about spring break.
Yes.
It is a downer week typically, but the history of the spring is amazing. It's just you're going strong, and then spring break comes and you have an empty parking lot, and then you double back to where you were the week after. So you tell all your staff, don't spend a lot of money this week
Save up.
because you're not going to have food on the table. And then it jumps right back. And so, you know, with all the restaurants we have history built up. And so Stockyards is history. So we already planned that because it's already on the books.
Mm-hmm.
St. Patty's Day, don't forget about.
Oh, yeah.
St. Patty's Day is today.
Yeah.
People are celebrating.
All weekend.
Yeah, but today is really St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
If you don't think it is, you're going to get in trouble. And so,
Some of it's just got over Mardi Gras, then. It's not all.
well, you know, I mean, but, and then you got Easter.
Yeah.
And so
Which is you start at 8 a.m. on Easter.
I'm going to go all weekend.
You go 8 a.m. on Easter and Mother's Day, right?
Yeah, but I'll go Saturday and Sunday because we just can't we're turning people away, which that's something that we're not supposed to do, right?
That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're going to expand that. But being in Fort Worth for 30 years, I just got to mention this, because me and you were put on TV 30 years ago about staffing in Fort Worth, how bad service is. And all these restaurants came in, and you know about this because we talked about this. There wasn't enough labor pool to handle nice restaurants. And the whole thing was featured on bad service. Kids are going to college, they're learning how to party,
Right.
and the parents are making them quit because they're working too much. So we did this together, and I was always told when you come to Fort Worth, because I hadn't been in Fort Worth running restaurants since mid-70s. So I was away for a while, and I opened up in Addison, the first Blue Mesa. That was in '88, and they said only expect to do about 70% of the business we do in Dallas. So we built the restaurant 30% smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case.
Yeah.
We opened up, getting blown out of the water, and it didn't hurt us to have the advertisement and the exposure that the city was going through with service in general. And I thought, I'm either going to bury this restaurant from the very beginning, or this is going to be a hit. And we're on Channel 11, and I got a packed house. I couldn't have gotten any better advertisement. But I learned quickly that Fort Worth is a different market. Dallas has restaurant rows and things that you don't have to get personal with your guests. They're coming. It's not that way as like it used to be. In Fort Worth, when you connect right from the beginning, TCU was one of them. The charities, building those charities from the beginning and staying with them, even through COVID, it really gives you staying power. And I don't think of Blue Mesa as, a landmark of restaurants, but I guess it is. We're 30 years old,
Absolutely.
along with you guys, and so we're not a chain-oriented business town like it was. I went to the Taste of Fort Worth, and there was no chefs there back when I first got here.
Right.
And so I've learned a lot. This is home. That's where my heart is. I still have to go to Dallas and take a look at them, but this is home. And when you know everybody in town, it's not work. It's a social.
Yes.
It's great. And then with that environment, the doors open constantly. You help somebody who needs something. You become part of Fort ISD, or you become part of Lena Pope, you become part of things. And your name is well represented in good karma. And so I think that's part of staying power. But if you don't agree with that, we've had this conversation. I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm kind of taking in Fort Worth memories, which I've got plenty of them. Don't get me wrong. But
you're part of a lot.
But this organization is, I'm excited to be a part of it. So I'm kind of the newbie here, but I really believe that there's opportunities coming like we were talking about here. You got to keep your eyes open. You got to keep people looking past your front door. You got to get out there and mingle and find out what's going on. There's huge construction going out at University. That's more business coming our way. The high rises are coming like crazy. And so working in your restaurant, you're going to meet your people. They're expecting you to be there, and you're going to take care of them. But you got to know what's going on, and everybody has to be thinking and share. And this vehicle that Larry's has got, I didn't realize how much information is constantly pouring out. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, kudos to you. That's something,
Well,
absolutely.
it's something that all of y'all can be a part of. Rex, I've been promoting his business for many years. It's $1,500 a year, and I promote your business every day. I promote, she had a birthday yesterday, and 100 people went on there. I mean, there's all kinds of people that we get over 50 million views a year.
Oh, wow.
50 million.
Mm-hmm. You know, it goes back like I think our relationship though, Larry, to me, the thing that you built, I mean, the forward memories, again, we're talking about culture, we're talking about what force, the forward memories part of it is something that is good to go back, go down memory lane and hear, you know, and hear. That's what makes the culture. And you having a vehicle for everyone to sit in an environment like this and all the different, you know, ways that you do it, I think is awesome for Fort Worth. And again, that builds that's that difference between a Fort Worth culture versus big city Dallas. Sure. That's just kind of like run them through the deal. And I think that's important.
And you spark conversation. Because you put something out there and then it's like, did you ever go to that place?
Yeah.
I remember it. And then the conversation just kind of switches to history.
Mm-hmm. And with Larry's knowledge of history, just like we were talking earlier about your family and, you know, the drive-ins and how everything evolved. And, you know, that, not everybody knows that. Bud knows it because he's been here a long time. But, you know, us that have grown up in Fort Worth, we have those memories of those good places to eat. And now we've got a whole new generation of places to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And people, you know, when I interviewed Dennis a couple of weeks ago, York Steakhouse was one of my favorites at Seminary South. He opened it.
Yep.
I didn't know
And
that.
I said, what happened to all the cheapy steakhouses?
That was a good house brand steak sauce.
And he told, I said, how did y'all do it where I'm in line with my date, and by the time we get to the end, the steak is cooked?
Yep.
And he went through all of that. It's amazing. And he said, you told me, do I remember right? The waiter, y'all spoke French?
T bon bien cuit passé. That was not a lot of French, but that's what we you know. And we threw those plates down that stainless steel counter and they caught it in midair.
Yeah.
Like some mushroom gravy on that. You know, it was a show.
Oh, no, it was
400 steaks an hour.
Wow.
Oh, my
Wow,
gosh.
400 an hour.
York was like a bonanza but better. So
Yeah, there
I
was
guess
a lot
beef
of.
prices were a little cheaper back then.
And then he told me that steak went out of favor in what, 83?
It was on 82, 83. Some of the chains were going to better, you know, healthier foods and things of that nature. I think General Mills had Good Earth. It didn't last long, but it didn't. You know, it made a pretty good comeback. But a lot of chains were gone, except for small towns and getting like Oklahoma and things like that. Those Western Sizzlers and Bonanzas and all those, you can still find those.
Sirloin Stockade.
Yeah.
You know, Outback, an executive with Outback told me once that Tarrant County, counting the Hearst store, that people in Tarrant County eat a higher percentage of beef to chicken or fish than anywhere else in the whole Outback company, that we're the biggest beef eaters. And I think that is part of the Cowtown tradition, and it's just, you know, part of the history. And, you know, people still want beef. You know, if I even write something, if I could write all about a beef and then a beef place, and then I'll put one sentence in the Star Telegram saying, oh, they also have a turkey burger, they also have people will just pile on and say, why are you, that ain't beef, why are you talking about that? So it's, you know, we are beef eaters. The Star Telegram used to run when we ran the best voting and the best of, you know, and I'll never forget this. We ran this in the weekend guide, and the place that always won most romantic was Steak and Ale.
Yep.
And I thought, well, I don't know if I'd think that was, you know, Italian, French, you know, but it was always Steak and Ale. So, Larry, what you've done here, I just wanted to say a while ago when you talk about it, when you look at Austin memories or Dallas memories, it's all about 1995. When you look at your page, it's about 1965 and 1975.
And 1909.
It just shows that people here have the real memories, and people here who you know, cherish the memories.
We've proven that regular people, our citizenry loves history. I've had several doctors of the mind say, we recommend Fort Worth Memories because somebody will see a picture of Pascal High School in 1940 and it brings back memories. It keeps it in mind. moving, you know.
Well, don't you have an old menus collection here? Don't
Oh
you have?
yeah, I've got, well, in these two rooms, Bud, is 6,450 pieces, and I've got now over 95,000 pieces. So we need a bigger building. If any people are out there like Mrs. Walton would like to donate a building.
If you've got a menu from the Pink Rooster at Stripling's, I'd like another one of those hamburgers on the charbroiler with a poppy seed bun. I'd like another one of those.
So all you got to do is go on Forward Memories and go to the Spyglass and put whatever restaurant you want. You can pull up Smitty's Pancake House or the Pink Rooster or any of them. Old South, all of the old restaurants. But another thing that I'd like to ask y'all, none of y'all are downtown. How is the atmosphere downtown with Sundance? Is that, I think you mentioned at one time you were thinking about going downtown?
Mm-hmm.
Is the rent just out of price, out of sight?
The rent was going to be okay. It's actually cheaper than where I'm at right now, but they wanted a percentage of sales, and I can't do that because you don't know what your sales are going to be, and you just don't. You got to have that. Sometimes that'll make you or break you. So.
And the parking situation.
That's what I hear everybody talking about.
Parking.
That's the parking's tough.
Parking stuff.
Because it's easier just to go down, to go to Blue Mesa or, to
One of y'all's, yeah.
than it is to go downtown and have to worry about parking.
Well, when you go downtown, like you said, when you come to the door downtown, you're already in the hole $20, $25 because most of the spots obviously are paid to park. So that hits the pocketbook as far as that's concerned. I know I've talked to some folks, that have, some spots down there, and that's one of the guests. When they walk into the front door, they've already spent a certain amount of money just to
park.
Well, now we say all this, but the convention business and all the stockyards business has really boosted downtown. Look how many hotels there are, and that's where all the downtown business is coming from. And all the stuff in the stockyards, people can't get into the Drover. And they come downtown and eat, or they stay downtown and then go to the stockyards. But they eat. You look at where are people? We do this in Star Telegram every month. What are the number one restaurants for open table reservations? The number one is always Texas de Brazil. It's like, where are people booking tables? Texas de Brazil, Riata. That's people who are coming to town, staying in the hotels, and looking for a place to eat.
What is the estimate? When are they going to have the convention center, the new convention center, where more conventions are coming to town? Is there an estimated?
I don't know the year or when it's going to be done.
I know, so I'll say a little information. I know, and this is something, I say roundtable wise, that I spoke with some folks at the Visit Fort Worth, and they're remodeling, and I think it's 29 that it's going to be ultimately completed. But kind of going back to the convention business in regards to local potential, their capacity during the remodel is going to be dwindling because of the fact that the construction is so heavy and the remodeling, stuff like that, that the amount of convention business that is coming, they're having to outsource and the folks that are around town, because I think they said next year is a 50% capacity, and I say that's from the catering standpoint, and I believe 2027 it's going to be down to 25%. So meaning that the catering convention business for local, and then it's going to expand, and then when they open it up in 29, that's supposed to be, obviously then that's going to generate a ton more business. But I think in the next few years, there's opportunities for all the local businesses to be able to help support the convention business.
Does the Omni still control a lot of the catering?
I don't know who's the central control. The folks I talked to, and that the Visit Fort Worth folks are awesome. And if you guys have not had a chance to, they're really good information. But that was kind of where I got some of that info. Was that's kind of the path that the convention is taking. So there's opportunities there to be able to help support our city, because obviously the convention business is huge for us. What is just bringing people in from Coliseum, Dickies, and things like that. So we want to.
That Magnolia area It's really jumping now, isn't it?
Magnolia is doing very good. I did want to say a little bit about Sundance. I have been to a couple of events that they've had that I guess Sasha Madison have put on, and they've been phenomenal. So I think they're doing a lot of cultural things.
Yes.
In that big square.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
big square, and I've seen like a ton of people at some
Yes.
of their events. You've seen
Yes.
that. So they're really picking that up and doing some good different things there that I hadn't seen in Sundance in a few years. So.
Yeah, I think the plan there, Larry, is to start some restaurants and foster some chefs and get some new ideas going. So.
Interesting. You follow back what you said, but that was an interesting stat about the Fort Worth from was that Outback Steakhouse? You said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's an interesting deal. But we said the word beef and you said the word cost, and not to shift the gears of where we are, and obviously with the cost of beef. What are you guys thinking? I know we've been hearing shortages of beef and things like that. What have y'all?
I feel like in your menu, you're going to have to stay with certain things.
Right.
And I love Dean Meats. They take care of me. I get my meat from them. It comes in through my vendor, but there's certain things on your menu that are dogs as far as cost goes, and there's those that are winners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you play and you design your menu, there's things that people love and they're popular and they help your bottom line. But then there's things that it's like a top shelf margarita versus a house. You make more money probably off of a frozen margarita because it's water and a little bit of tequila and whatever else. But a top shelf, you're getting the real thing, and you can play with that. And they have different margins of profit. Meat just keeps going up.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a problem with shortage yet, but we're selling more brisket now than I can ever remember. Brisket enchiladas, I never thought I'd sell brisket enchiladas, and tacos and things like that. So we've got more variety of tacos and different fillings that kind of offset it. And we always have seafood, and seafood has gone up too.
Oh yeah.
But we're expected to have seafood in the restaurant. If I do a brunch, I better have salmon.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet potatoes and salmon, or I'm in trouble. So there's a little bit of creativity in your menu that helps.
Sure.
And so, we've got the big cost factors on our P&Ls. Obviously, anything related to the kitchen is the biggest cost we got. Our labor, our chefs, our food, production, all that comes together. The menu, the natural thing with the menu is people just keep raising prices. I don't know if this is the right way to go, but I know in Blue Mesa, I throw a $12 buffet on Wednesday. You think I'm making money on that? With salmon?
Not when I come.
You got to ask for the salmon.
Go ahead.
Because now we don't just put it out there and waste half of it. You say, I want that salmon, and then they'll bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's helped. I didn't want to raise price. I wanted to have a value on one particular day like that. And I pack them in for that day.
Mm-hmm.
But
that keeps your loyalty going as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could have raised it $4 and lost what we're doing, and they still want a free drink. I go, no.
I think the guest is really
we're gonna charge you for that fee.
Value's a big
It
thing
is.
right now.
All of y'all have a good value. Michael, you've got your specials that people love. All of y'all have something. Y'all ought to all talk about how to get a good, I don't hesitate to say cheap dinner, but how to get a good dinner for your money in your restaurant. Because all of you have something, and I know every one of them, but I'd recommend. But every one of you has a good deal. Y'all ought to talk about it. $12 lunch is a really good deal. Michael,
I ran some green chicken enchiladas the last couple of days. People ask, do you ever do any Mexican food? And I said, yeah, we sure do. And we do it Mexican style with the fried eggs on top and That was popular. We sold out of them last night. And that was in addition to our regular menu. So people could come in and order what they normally do, but we do, like you said, featuring certain items on certain days that's worked out for us.
Yeah, you've got the prime rib on Tuesday, and you've got the barbecue chicken on Thursday. The fried chicken is Wednesday. I guess I've got this memorized. I'm
certainly impressed. I remember that.
Well, see, I'm always sending people. Rex, I know that you've got such a big menu. You can look through the menu and find you can spend as much or as little as you want to spend.
True.
At both your restaurants.
Yeah, like on the Rex's side, something that we've been really working on our happy hour. Like we're touting, we've got the longest happy hour in Fort Worth. We're 11 a.m. to 6. But one of our big value adds is our pizzas. We do a little Neapolitan pizza that's 15-inch, but it's handmade, chef. All the ingredients are fresh, and so part of our happy hour, we've been doing a half price pizza for happy hour, and that's a great value for folks, from 11 a.m. to 6. And that's pushing that value to give us that, and then we've got a couple new menu items that we're really working on the Rex's side that are more lunch handhelds and value side from the soups and the salads, and really portioning down. It's interesting with the portion sizes and this new world we live in with the buongiorno, or I call it the weight loss stuff. And it's funny, some of these restaurants you're reading across the nation that they're actually coming up with menus that are specifically made for this weight loss drug because people eat less. And so I'm not saying we're mimicking that, but like we're working on a lunch menu that is a value, that price point, cutting down our our Wagyu chicken fried steak from 6 or 8 ounces down to 4, like smaller portions that people can still eat and enjoy and get it quickly, on the value side. And so that's something, but I've found that pretty interesting on how the popularity of people getting on that drug, that there's actually menus in these places that are catering and talking to that. But like on the whole South Side, again, we, our price point, we've always tried to, be as fair priced as we, possibly can. I mean, I think you can get a classic breakfast meal sit down for the same price that you could go get a Cane's #1 through the drive-thru.
Yeah.
And so we focus on the value, on the old South Side. And that's something though that we've been, obviously 65 years, that's kind of one of our mantras, is being able to stay affordable and, for everybody on that side.
You saw where this week, Medicare has approved the medications, and now they'll be available for $50 a month to anyone on Medicare. Mm-hmm. So that is, you've already got the meals for those folks. The senior citizen meals are a smaller portion. Mm-hmm. And what are they, $9 or something?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some of our, we have a senior menu on the old South, on the old South menu.
Lunch and dinner. So we've got great per person. I mean, you can still eat under $10. Yeah, and that's tailor made for the medications, and you've already got it there.
So we're working with Chef on the Rex's side to do the same thing with just a different version of the foods and things that we're doing it.
And on your seniors meal, you don't check IDs, so
no, we try to go on the honesty program. You know what I mean? Now,
I think some of us pretty much look like we don't need the ID.
Yeah, we've had some folks in the past that have been, that were our servers. Like, I don't think that, we typically, it's for our folks that are 55 and older. That's what we have on our menu. And we've had a few that have been younger, but you know what? To me, all that is just them asking for a smaller portion.
It's like an adult asking for a kid's meal.
Sure, exactly.
Sure.
Well, that got competitive also.
Sure.
We have senior meals 65 and over, and then we're going to do 60, and then 55.
Yeah.
So defining what a senior is these days.
Exactly.
But you're right. Somebody sneaks one in, good for them.
Well, you don't have a senior, I don't think, but two people could easily split any of your dinners, and your lunch portions are wonderful size.
Well, I hate to say this, but we have option at all times called Doug's Way. Because a good friend of mine, Doug, as we got older, he didn't eat as much. So he would eat half of it and take the other half home.
Mm-hmm. That's what I tell people to do.
Well, Doug's Way, we plate half of it and box half of it in the kitchen.
Oh,
So it's not a
Wow.
leftover.
wow.
That's
It's like,
pretty neat.
it's like 2 meals.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people to do. If you're trying to lose weight, I tell people just, and I've told servers, I say, bring me half and pack half. And
Mhm.
that way you don't buy another meal
Right.
and you really get all you want there at the restaurant. This is probably not something we ought to talk about for restaurateurs, is to say, here's how to, you get 2 meals for the price of one.
Well, that's getting 2 meals though.
But
Yeah.
that's a really good idea because, it's like a to-go box for later on.
Well, the trick is they don't bring it to the table, so you're not tempted to eat it. They've already packed it. So they bring you half of it, you eat it, you're fine. Then you already have the other packed up part.
Well, like a chicken fried steak, for example, you don't want to put a gravied leftover chicken fried steak, but if you get it Doug's Way, as we call it, you take half of it and we put the gravy on the side, and everybody has air fryers now, so
Sure.
they can heat that up and have it just like the first half that they ate at the restaurant.
Mary,
That's a
we
good
didn't
deal.
get around to you on value, but I know you've got some
We
ways.
have the
to-
family meals
Yeah.
that are like 69, because of everything going up, 69, but it serves 6 to 8 people, either 12 enchiladas or 12 tacos, rice and beans for 6 to 8 people. So they can either take it home or dine in. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty good deal. So we get a lot of families, that they've ordered a family meal and 2 big trays of enchiladas come out, or half enchiladas, half tacos, and they all eat off of that. So it's cheaper than eating at McDonald's right now. So
How many people seats in your restaurant?
about 125. It's with the patio and the private, like a little section, and then inside. And there's something that I did different this year that I've learned, and I don't know if you guys have ever had this problem, but I did at Forest Park and everywhere that we've been, is the fountain drinks. I got rid of them, and I got just 20 ounce from Coke, and we would have people that would have 2 or 3 sodas and then want one to go. So then I'm already paying you to have that soda. So after all these years, I finally said, tea's okay. I don't mind serving tea all day long. But those sodas will end up costing you with that syrup and that gas and everything else and the to-go cup and all that. So we went to just the bottle, and everybody just loves them. So it's good.
Yeah,
Those
that's a
big-
good idea.
Somebody from Coke will probably be upset, but those big machines that look like a Vegas slot machine, I don't think those machines are even put out. They're not really what you want. So
Yeah, well, they brought me a bunch of coolers, and so they're full of all these Coke products. So, I think Coke makes more money off of the bottled drinks than they do, and I do too. I don't have to pay someone to have a soda.
Then you don't have the waste. You
I don't have the
mess.
waste. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's always something with fountain drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Chef, we're out of CO2.
All the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nonstop.
You mentioned your happy hour. Have you seen, in general, have y'all seen a decline in alcohol consumption?
Oh,
100%. Yes.
Like
Yes.
maybe 30%?
It's interesting, and the whole discussion when you bring that up, like reading in the articles and things about how the new young generation is just not drinking, and they aren't. And you see the younger folks, and you can see a steady decline. And the movement now is the discussion, obviously with legislation and all this stuff with the new THC drinks and things like that.
Drinks,
But-
seltzers.
and we went and we had a big legal seminar thing that we kind of went through. It was the TRA deal, and it was kind of that discussion about that. And obviously from our end, that's not something, with the Rex, the liability side of that whole world is something we're not even close to even thinking about, because the way it's written now, it's a pretty hefty, because I think it's governed by the TABC on that, and liability wise. And we even checked into it from the insurance carrier side, that we didn't even find an insurance carrier that would even insure you if you were to sell those types of drinks. But the discussion is, like in California and some of these other places, these THC drinks, there's places they're opening up that That's
all they
that's
do.
all they do.
Right.
And they're packed, and it's between the coffees, like these coffee bars. They're doing these combination where they're coffee shops, and then they're doing these THC, cannabis, and all that kind of stuff. But it's and these places are packed, and so like 10:30 in the morning, it looks like what we would say back in the olden days, it'd be like a midnight bar atmosphere. These people are at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're all in their exercise workout stuff, and they're drinking coffees, and
they're all happy.
And they're all happy. And they're energetic, but it's just but I know the beer. You see some of these articles that there's a huge decline.
They're also eating breakfast and drinking mimosas too at some of these new restaurants. Breakfast with a bar.
Breakfast with a bar is very popular.
The boozy breakfast is.
You do that in Burleson, don't you?
We do, and it's interesting you bring that up. So obviously, University, the history of 62. That's the 24-hour, 7 days a week. We call it the Monster, and our location in Burleson is completely different. Obviously, we are open from 6 a.m. to 3, and we just do breakfast and lunch and brunch. And we're in the process as we speak, taking all of our signatures that we currently have at the Monster at University, but we're going to start developing some more brunchy items, kind of in that 6 to 3 model, and kind of contouring our menu a little bit in Burleson, taking away. Like right now, we have historical dinner products that are in Burleson. Well, they don't do well because we're open from 6 to 3. So we're kind of morphing the Burleson location to kind of fit more of that breakfasty, brunchy. Obviously now, yes, we're brunch 7 days a week, but we have a section of the menu that is still, because it's obviously identical to what University is, but we have a whole dinner section that doesn't get a lot of use in Burleson as it does at University. So we have our chef, who's our culinary director, Brian Olenjack, and so he's working with us on the old South Side to tighten up some of our recipes for us to kind of move into that brunch world and kind of offer some offerings, along with the mimosa flights and things that we're able to do in Burleson from the liquor side that we can't, obviously offer alcohol at University. So we're excited about that. It's kind of it's a neat deal because that whole project has been such a learning experience of us opening in the middle of COVID and the sheer open frustration, issues. We're 60% completed with construction when COVID hit, and obviously we know what happened after that. But we're celebrating our 5th year down there, and it's a blessing that we've been able to, overcome a lot of our early adversities. But we've learned a lot of the contours of what I've been accustomed to on the 24/7. It's like a doctor on call all the time. To have that luxury of having a 6 to 3 concept is interesting on that lunch brunch, but it's becoming very, very popular. So we're hoping to morph that as we speak.
Well, speaking of your iconic items, I've never told you this before, but whenever I had people in from out of town, I had to take them for a Dutch baby.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I mean it's been one of my traditions forever.
Sure.
Dutch baby.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's not going to come off the menu.
No.
Okay.
No. Again, the stuff that with Burleson, we'll take all of our our fundamentals. It's really a lot of some more of the dinner items that we have on our current menu that we're going to kind of trade some of our dinner stuff to add maybe a salmon, eggs Benedict, kind of more of into that brunch, and just cultivate it down in the Burleson location, and then see how much positivity we have like that. And then we'll pick and choose potentially to bring to University. But no, definitely we wouldn't touch anything with the Dutch babies or German pancakes. That's what we're known for. So we definitely
back to the liquor, how the sales of alcohol are coming down. I think that, and we keep mentioning COVID, and a lot of us really like to forget about it completely.
Agreed.
A lot of good came out of it, and one of the things is that I've found is Fort Worth is not a late night of a town as it used to be.
Right.
You're talking about the full bars at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you go to the north side, you're going to see that. But downtown, I don't think that they have a big nighttime bar scene anymore.
We don't. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of folks, you know, we keep circling back to the north side. Yeah, that seems to be where the young contingent. That, and then of course 7th Street.
So 7,
Yeah,
which is different from Upper West 7.
Well, Larry, the people on the memories page talk about the old days in Fort Worth when you would get dinner at 11 o'clock at night and you would go to Sammy's on the north side, or that steakhouse on Jacksboro that I can't think of, Williams, but there was another one. M&M on 28th, or you'd go to even the Burgundy Tree, or the somewhere. I mean, you would get, there'd be 20 places to get dinner at 11 or 11:30 at night. And now I think you can still get a steak at Eddie V's at 11 o'clock, and I don't think there's anywhere else that's
Sammy's
really
used to be open
till 4.
Yeah, I remember going there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it didn't open till 10 or 9, and then open.
And all the waiters wore tuxedos.
Right.
our kitchen stays late. At Rex's until 11. You can get. We've got a 14-ounce ribeye that you can still get. I mean, it's full menu.
But the only places later than that, I think Rogers over here and Buffalo Brothers, I think they're open till 2. But there's only a few places that
Buffalo Brothers
have full food till 2.
Rogers is just, Aaron told me, they're serving a brunch over here now.
Sunday brunch. Yeah.
I think that's good for Burke and them.
Rogers is kind of funny. I like those folks. I tell people to go there. People complain about noise all the time. About this place too noisy. I go to our restaurants. I tell people go to Rogers at lunch because it's quiet. There's hardly anybody there, and so I mean it's but I mean they're trying to get their lunch picked. That's just kind of odd, Larry. You're down here, and you know that the lunch business is a little different right here because the office buildings, don't all have people that go out to lunch, and the TCU students have all their own restaurants, and so the lunch business is kind of peculiar in this little stretch, probably because Rex gets all of it.
No.
Y'all all probably remember Famous Hamburgers when Nick and them was downtown. God, he did all of those office buildings. It was unbelievable. Ed Bass told me one time that's the biggest mistake they ever did. Put him out and put that Chinese place in. Because, God, he did a ton of business.
He did a good foot traffic for everybody else, too. Famous Hamburgers was a little stand downtown at 1st and Main or 2nd and Main? 2nd and Main, but it just had, it was on the corner and it had open windows to the grill. The grill was along the windows, and there were open windows on both sides, so it was on the corner, and there was just this constant smell of grilling onions wafting out of the windows. And so you smelled grilling onions if you were a half block away. And it was just, people said, God, I got to go to this burger. God, I got to go to that.
And if you drank a beer, Nick would say, put your arm on the ledge. You had to be touching the building.
In order to drink a beer.
That's funny.
You talk about old hamburger places, and Topsy's was one of my favorites.
Yes, sir.
And that was right down there at 7th and University, and I think Jack was his name that owned it. And
yes, sir.
I don't know if he'd been a race car driver or what, but it was just something special about the sauce and the cheese he put on those Topsy burgers. And they always had a big lunch crowd back in the 60s and 70s.
Topsy burgers with Topsy sauce, and Bob Schieffer talks about that the KXOL people would always go to Topsy's.
Yeah. He sponsored a lot of girls softball.
He had a lot of. You've seen that in the news clippings. He had a lot of. He sponsored
a lot of menus too.
Sponsored a lot of youth teams and adult.
You touched on charities earlier. You said something about charities, because I think that you have these charities come in and they have dinners and things like that. But that's a good way into the community. But do you get kind of overwhelmed sometime with charity coming in?
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us this? Can you give us that?
Sure.
I think through COVID, a lot of charities died off. They just couldn't rebound.
Right.
And so we tried to stay with the same people we opened with if we could. We added a few other ones up, but mostly involving children, All Church
Right.
Home, Lena Pope Home, Gladney Foundation. We've always kind of geared toward that. My mother was raised in Lena Pope Home, so that was an automatic. Let's do that one, and that's expanded like crazy. It used to be a lot different. It used to, the kids lived there. I don't think Lena would be happy knowing that the kids aren't living there anymore. But the thing I tried to do is not let any of them down if they still wanted us to do that. Some of it's golf tournaments. You're feeding 100.
We did that for
Colonial one time playing, but it's you feed 150 people. You donate the food, and you might get to play a little golf too. I'm terrible at golf, but I like to play. And I do about 10 of those a year, but I don't do any more. It's like, okay, these are going to come up, and they've been good partnerships, because then it opens up with schools. It opens up getting to know who's making decisions for proms, for graduation parties. And, if we're not in the event business, I think we're all in trouble. I mean, anytime we can do events,
Sure.
That's because the people walking in the doors is not the same.
Right.
And so really, the charities lead to events. And so, and you make a agreement. I do FCA at TCU, fellow Christian athletes. We've got to feed 700 people in April in about 30 minutes in that practice field. But that's my connection with TCU. Let's be partners. At least give me a chance to take some business. It's changed a lot.
Right.
You can just, but TCU is a big source of activity constantly. I didn't know colleges.
You have graduation.
UNT Health Science it really is. Those partnerships are valuable.
Right.
And then you can lean into the fourth ISD because there's all kind of activity, but it's a give and take.
And then you get a lot of customers because they've tasted your food at these events, and they say, hey, this is a good place. I've never been there, but the food's good. So
Sure.
you were going to say something like
Well, the big one that's coming up, the Fort Worth Food and Wine Festival, that kind of evolved from the medical charitable events that we used to do to the more of the school and the kids-oriented things, to really focusing on us, the restaurant tours, the restaurant community here in town, and I think it's really been a plus. I think this might be the 10th year.
I think it's more than that. I think it's at least 10. What's your part in the food festival?
Well, 10 plus years ago, I started doing the Friday night event, the main event, and we've done it every year since. So it's a big part of it for us. We really enjoy it, and getting out there and having fellowship with our restaurateurs, and there's plenty of all of our clients that go to those events, and you get to get in front of them again. A lot of people are like, man, Michael, we haven't been to your place in a long time. It's like, well, I know. So hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. So you say events, and obviously we haven't touched on this yet, and wanted to kind of get y'all's feel on World Cup. So I know that there's been a lot of, rumors swirling. I know, get an opportunity to be kind of close to the TCU women's soccer team with Coach Bell and his staff, and been trying to communicate with them, because I know early on everyone thought Argentina was going to be one of the hosts. The TCU was going to host them, and then they went to, I think, Kansas City, and then I think Japan was the next one that we thought hopefully we were going to get. And I believe they went to I think Knoxville or somewhere. But have you guys heard? I know that there's still 6 teams that haven't qualified as of yet that still may. But I know the whole World Cup, I don't even think any of us are even really ready or prepared for what's coming.
When is the World Cup?
I think the first game starts like June 12th, but they'll start coming over here as late April and early part of May, and they'll settle in. That's kind of where the house.
Is it going to be at Jerry's World or
Jerry's? I mean, there's several games, but the games that are from North Texas are going to be at Jerry's World. But they've got something at the the Little Lowe's that's in was the old Ranger Stadium. There's a team that's going to stay there, and I think maybe SMU might have someone got that, but.
that soccer is big?
Oh, it's bigger. What they're saying numbers wise, it's equivalent to having about 30 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, it's big.
So we keep trying to think. Trying to get an idea of it, but I don't think we really know what's coming. But I know that even if there's one of the teams that practices over here, I mean, just the influx of people that are going to come to the.
There's people from all over the world.
All over the world. I mean, an estimation.
Just the reporters.
I think like I heard numbers like 11, like over that time span that there's supposed to be like 11 or 12 million people.
They said there's 1,500 reporters that'll be here.
But there's between that time frame that they anticipate that many visitors to North Texas in that area during that time frame. So you think about. We're upset about some of the traffic that's going on now. I don't know if we've seen anything yet, but
everybody coming to the stockyards and the Sundance and places like that.
Well,
they're coming everywhere.
They've heard about German pancakes. They're going to have to come have some German pancakes.
We're going to try to promote to the German team and tell them to come on over and see us. So for sure, but I know we're going to do because it's been interesting. That's part of I'll say through Visit Fort Worth. There's actually going to be a kind of an informational that we're going to have at our restaurant, I think, in early April. That I didn't realize the amount. So FIFA, like the world, like that entity, the amount of rules and the regulations and things that they have that are involved with everything. Just from the standpoint of us, just if you have it on the television, on the requirements that they have, some of the legalities of it are pretty minor, and we're trying to figure or learn about it as we go. But they've got information like if you view the FIFA with one of the actual games, that it's a requirement for you to show 30 minutes before, and you have to show the game, and then you have to show, I think, the post game 20 minutes. They make it. It's like that's a rule. Like you can't.
You can't put it on in Rex's without showing the whole program.
Correct. And then there's another component to that you can show it that if it's on mute, that we have to get another, I don't know what to call it, license or something that we're still trying to figure out, that if you play the audio of it is an additional component to the viewership.
Is it like a pay-per-view, and is it based on your capacity?
No, as long as not the historical, that kind of moved, which obviously the UFC kind of changed that with Paramount. But as long as you have the subscriptions and things like that, then you're fine.
Because even AT&T, they've got to take AT&T off.
They're taking that down, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, you imagine the amount of money that AT&T spent on that, and they got told, hey, this is going to be what I think they're calling it, Dallas Stadium.
Yeah, Dallas Stadium.
They're taking all the logos out.
Mm-hmm.
They're making Jerry pay for that.
I don't know what the business deal is on that, but it's part of the deal. But it's so
they can't have a commercial.
The FIFA
advertising
entity itself is so big and so powerful. We don't even. It's hard for us. We wrap our brain around what kind of going on here. But when you say the term 30 Super Bowls in a month and a half, that's a pretty. But I know that listening to. You're going to have all this, the different nationalities coming into the town. And that's going to, it's going to be a gigantic mixture. I think in our group play, I think we have, it's Japan, Netherlands, Argentina, and I want to say England are the ones who's in our group. I may be wrong with England, but.
All those bring a big following.
Huge following.
Argentina.
The Argentina huge, and they said the Japanese as well, which my sister, Japanese Palace, she's excited. She's been trying to coordinate some stuff with them, with the Japanese Society of North Texas, of trying to, when they come in, to try to do some synergy and some things there with that. But I think it's bigger than what we could even anticipate, and it's trying to I know you'll see here in a little bit, Larry, you'll like this. We ordered a 20-foot FIFA soccer ball.
Wow.
That we're inflating, that we're going to put up, that's going to have our logo on it, just to make sure that all the folks in town
put it on the roof.
We don't know exactly where it's going to go yet. We're going to figure it out. Whether it's going to go down by the street, which I don't know if that's a safe spot, but we'll probably put it on the roof. But we want to make sure that we're soccer friendly.
So we're halfway through. People were saying, is it going to be too long? We've just gone over an hour. So we still got to do what we've done so far. And at a halfway point, don't forget this year, Larry's kids, the 40th year.
Wow.
So, and we need people to bring back. Rex and Pam and his family have been supportive of that for years. But we've given away over $1,500,000 worth of bikes in 39 years. It's just $75 a bike, and we pay. Last year we bought 1,000 from Academy, and it was $99 a bike. But Rick's been part of it, so y'all can come volunteer and whatever, but you can bring bikes, and you can contribute year-round, Larry'sKids.com. But it's really grown into something big.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of years ago we had Maddie, Brooke, Mike Moncrief, Betsy, we had everybody there. Most of the city council. So that's something that I didn't think. I started in 1986, and I thought, well, this probably will last a year or two. But now it's a 501c3 and it's gangbusters. Got good sponsors, Sid Richardson Foundation. Charlie Guerin's on my board, and he's really brought in some. But all the Rex and Pam, all of them, they all help support it. So, and we need people to help give the bikes away. It's awful early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, but December 12th this year, Farrington Field. If they don't sell it before then, I heard they're trying to sell Farrington.
No, just the piece around it. You know, some of the parking and all that for some sort of mixed-use development. But they are very adamant that they're not going to sell the stadium. So that's.
Do they still play games there?
Yeah, they fixed it up. I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, they still play games there all the time.
I know that the basketball field house. They still, because the night before, there's always a basketball game, and then we're trying to put 1,000 bikes over there, and that creates a little bit of a problem. But thank God Fort Worth ISD has worked with us, and the city's worked with us. Manny Ramirez has been big. Charlie Guerin's been real big. He gets the people that run the lottery, gives us $5,000 every year. And they don't know anything about kids in Fort Worth, Texas. So that shows you our politicians, they swing a pretty big stick. So, Mary, we need to hear more from you about how's things with your deal.
Well, Magnolia is going very good. You're talking about parking. We're just like on a super roll. The first month we opened, December, January, and then some customers I started seeing on Facebook that they were getting fines for parking behind the building, and a couple of them got boots on their cars. So the landlord who owns the building does not own the parking lot behind the building. So he thought our parking was free, but then our parking wasn't free. But we got that all fixed because now we got to pay for the parking for everybody. But it's all that kind of stuff on Magnolia, right? And I called Elizabeth
Beck?
Yes, and I said, all these signs on the streets that say no parking on this side of the street, there's no houses here, there's all these dilapidated homes, can we get all these signs off of these streets? Because it's hurt. I don't know how many businesses have closed down on Magnolia, and I believe it's all because of parking. And so she said she was working on it, was going to get some people. She said, those signs have been up way before my time. I said, yeah. They look like they need to just be taken down. So but there's some California companies that own a lot of the parking lots. And well, that's what I was told. So I'm like, it's hurting the Fort Worth. It's hurting all of us locally owned. So the good thing is we got in contact with the one gentleman, and He's given us a good price to just pay for parking for 2 hours. Now we have a QR code if customers come in. But I think it's everywhere, right? But I see people in the stockyards and they don't have those signs. They're parked all over the streets in the stockyards. But on Magnolia, it's a whole different ballgame. They got those signs everywhere that you can't park on the streets.
Money. The stockyards is money.
Yes. So, but if it's, if all those signs are not in the stockyards, and they don't need to be on Magnolia either. Yeah. Making the parking lot people or the people that own those parking lots, man. So that's the battle I'm fighting right now over there.
See, and that's one reason I started Memories. People say, how do you get all these politicians? They have to come on. They don't want me talking about it 24/7. Because I've openly said, how about this or that? And they said, I'm not going to go on this show. Then they call the next day, yeah, I'm ready to come on.
Right.
Because, what's fair for one
right.
part should be fair for all parts.
All parts. And I'm sure Magnolia is not the only one. I'm sure there's other,
sure
I don't know how Main Street is or over there, but I'm, the new area over there, but I'm sure they're having the same issue. I don't know.
Well, the stock show and the rodeo. I mean, because you spend $20 or $25 before you even get to the gate.
Right. Well, people come to eat a $15 lunch with me or a $12 lunch, and then they get a ticket for $10 or $17. So
that doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So it's just that's just what I'm dealing with.
But you're going the right way. You go into your city council member and then
help.
And then if that doesn't help, when we have another one of these shows, Elizabeth, they all follow my deal. Because I want to know what we're talking about.
The big issue, for the 7th Street area, doesn't affect you because you got parking and you got parking. And,
these guys all have parking. Nobody else has any parking.
Right.
But then you get over to Magnolia, and it's a hassle. You got to plan ahead. And I think if you Uber in, that's kind of what they want you to do. It's cheaper than a ticket. So.
Right. Yeah.
Let's make a point for the viewers here that you and Benito's both, which even has its own parking, but was been affected because everybody was parking at Benito's and then walking to all the other restaurants. So both of you now, I believe, have QR code parking, and so I know people hate having to use their phones and QR codes. But you have QR code validated parking. At Benito's and at Enchiladas Olay, so that you can come in, have lunch, just a couple
lunch
of clicks.
Lunch or dinner, 2-hour parking.
Lunch or dinner, a couple of clicks, and you're parked. And that is the best way to handle it on Magnolia. You can usually find a place up and down those side streets 2 or 3 blocks away, or you can park in the garage over on Alston, I guess. But really, you've got the QR code parking.
Right.
What changed a long time ago? I had a friend of mine that wanted to open a restaurant over off 5th when I was over there, and you had to have so much parking for so many people in the restaurant. Well, that's out the window now, right?
Right.
Because there's restaurants that have zero parking.
Right. Well, Larry, that was changed several years ago when the city planners all over the country believed that almost by now that people would be using autonomous cars everywhere, and you'd just walk out your house and a car would pick you up and take you to the restaurant, and that you wouldn't need to park because you'd be riding, have shared rides everywhere. So they didn't make people have parking anymore. Also, it's a giant waste for good land to go to waste as a parking lot. That needs to be another business that drives revenue, that brings in tax money to the city. So parking lots have never been popular. And so they said, okay, look, people are starting to use more shared rides. Everybody's going to have autonomous vehicles. We're going to improve mass transit. Let's stop having parking lots. You do need parking. I believe where you have streets belong to the public ought to be able to park there. I don't want the parking to impact neighborhoods or get in the way of neighborhoods. I'm glad they have reserved parking around Dickey's, but for the people who actually live there. But in general, the parking laws changed because people believe parking habits were going to change.
See, a lot of people don't realize Mary and some other restaurants, like Rex, he doesn't have the parking problem, but that's an extra expense she has to pay. That when you're sitting there, you're saying, "Boy, this price is a little high." You don't realize all the money that's put into that plate before you get it.
True.
And you talk about the downtown. I mean, now it is true that if you got 4 of you going to dinner, and you pay $20 to park, that's $5 a piece.
Right.
You know, it's not a lot out of your pocket, but it feels like a lot when you're paying it.
Yeah. And it's like at the stock show, I had people that were parking here, and we would take them over there, and because it's $8 to get in for seniors, I think, at the Midway, and it's $27 to park.
Right.
How does that work out? You're $35 into the deal, and you hadn't eaten a Nathan's hot dog yet.
I believe it was $15 to park in those large, 17 in those rodeo lots. But
Yeah.
but they do use the garage. On the weekends, you could park at the medical school parking garage,
Right.
which is important. I mean, yeah, it's just gotten, you know, further and further out. I mean, I live 7 or 8 blocks from the stock show, and I'm not in one of those protected parking zones, but people are there parking and walking to the stock show. And you get down here at Dickies Arena, you can look on the internet. People say, oh, if you're going to Dickies Arena, park the other side of the freeway down past the Whataburger and the Railhead and walk over to Dickies Arena. You can have dinner at Flying Fish or Railhead or somewhere south of the freeway and then walk up to Dickies Arena.
Yeah.
But working with the city council is very meaningful, because they listen most of the time, and a lot of our parking signs on 7th Street, they've changed to 2-hour limit, which is what we want. Restaurateurs landing next door, you know, to have, rather than have a construction worker or a UNT student parking all day, it's got to change over. So it gives our clients an opportunity. But we are fortunate to have a nice parking lot.
And that's exactly what you want, is 2-hour parking, so you can turn over.
Get them in, get them out.
Yep.
And that, you know, that 7th Street area, that parking has changed over there, but that's another example of where the parking signs that went up years ago needed they need to be updated, and the parking zones need to be updated.
Yes.
That's really important. You know, there's still Ridgely Larry, out in Ridgely on Camp Bowie at Fairfield back in there are still no parking signs back in there from when the newest nightclub was there. And there's still a whole no parking zone out there so people couldn't park there and go to the New West. And it's never been changed. I mean, you need to go down and say, hey, we need something different for these parking places.
Yeah.
When was the New West? 1990, 1995, something
It was over in 97.
Yeah, okay.
Well, in my area,
You got the biggest
I got-
lot in West 7.
it's 100 spots.
Yeah.
But we have an agreement with the Fellowship Church.
Uh-huh.
We have an agreement with, now I need to feed those guys, those new members.
Mhm.
But we have an agreement with Pogues, that area, until 2 weeks ago, they put meters in, and that's been changeover ownership.
Matt sold?
McGuire,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So the agreement is that during the day, they don't open till 3, so staff can use that parking, especially at brunch. And then at night, they can have parking for the nightclub, because we're gone.
Mhm.
We just got to clean up the mess next day.
Mhm.
And so there's a certain amount of parking on the street. I've never towed a vehicle in my life. I've been accused of it because they can't find their car the next day. But so we have
That's a result of the margaritas across the street.
well, yeah, we don't even have alcohol in our margaritas. But so I've got a little partnership with my neighborhood, and so we're trying to create an entertainment center. We got the upstairs banquet room. We've got Blue Mesa patio. We got the entertainment across the street at Birdie's, and working with a couple of those bars. And so we have QR codes in there where they can order food. They don't have food. And so we've become a family. And so we're trying to build signage and things together, like a monument that says this is this group of businesses.
That's a good deal. That's what I've always wanted.
And
So
so
they have the bars have a QR code where the people can order food and you deliver it over there?
just go across the street. You got it. And so It's a great partnership. I got a girl, Tara Maurer. She winded down those guys and got them.
She's done a good job.
Yeah, she's amazing. And so, it's great revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with our hours. You know, you got somebody that's, you know, tipped employee that's running it back and forth, and it's, you know, they tried it with bicycles and pull behinds, and because guys just walk over there, you don't need that. But you know, we're working with the neighborhood, solving some of our problems, and the church has always been great because, you know, they only have services 3 times a week, and so if we got, you know, big influx of customers, a wedding or whatever it might be, we let them know ahead of time so that they're aware. But I don't know, everybody's got different opportunities. If your neighborhood has some things that you can work out, who knows, you know, trade enchiladas for parking. I don't know.
That's the best thing, is work with your neighbors.
Yeah, we trade food with everybody. Kane Rosso, Gus's, we all trade food.
Yeah, y'all are
Our
pretty
staff
good.
love it, and it keeps everybody happy on Saturday.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Just have some samples at the neighborhood association meeting, you know, and say, hey,
Yeah.
let's be friends.
Well, I was in, you know, a community activist for like 24 years in nonprofit, so
You know,
I mean, it's time to get back into making some changes there in Magnolia for all local businesses there. You have to. Those
David
signs-
Shaw, do you know David?
I do.
He's a good guy. I hadn't seen him in years, but I used to have a business right next to his Abernathy's on Berry Street. But yeah, David he's been in the old restaurant business a long, long time.
Larry, what happened over there, Fairmount was so successful, and people bought homes and wanted to live over there, and the values of those homes went from 150,000 to 450,000. People love living over there, but people bought homes in Fairmount, and then, you know, now 15, 20 years, they bought there when they were young and wanted to be close to the bar. Now they've been there 15, 20 years. They don't go to the bar anymore, and they're tired of the people who go to the bar.
Yes.
So the Fairmont has been so successful that people wanted to move there, but there's some tension with the neighbors about the proximity, particularly to the bars. There's no tension about the restaurants.
Wasn't there they were boycotting the gay community or something at one point down there?
There was one bar that we won't mention that had a conflict. So,
Yeah, they got all that worked out.
Yeah, well, it's a different ownership now.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up, I've noticed in the last 2 years, the code enforcement now with food, whatever the food inspectors, well, they really tighten. Has there been a change? And do they come into y'all's restaurants unannounced?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're
the way it's
supposed
always
to.
been. They're
They
supposed
do.
to.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just more, maybe the start, it's online now, I guess. And you see it, and they broadcast it. This has been closed down, and that's been this, that, and the other. I just never noticed that before.
Well, I think a couple of years ago they started going online and stuff like that. You know, when our inspector comes in, I let her know I got cameras and it's got sound, and I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, because you can have just anything, and the verbiage that they put on is like, you committed this great sin.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm always like, I work for the city for the health department for 10 years, so I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch you write everything down, because none of us will do anything to jump. Everything we own is in that restaurant.
Right.
Our homes, our cars, our kids, our mortgages, everything. So we're not going to do anything in our kitchens to jeopardize anything.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we're watching our people all the time. So now I don't know what happened with Uncle Julio.
I read that report. I can tell you what happened there, but go ahead.
Okay. So, but it's different when you're the owner and that's your baby than when it's a corporate dollars and you're getting a paycheck. Because most of us, we get a paycheck if we're successful and we make money that week, you know. And So it's very different. So I think our health inspectors have come a long ways to realize that locally owned are, I mean, we do whatever has to happen to make that kitchen be
Sure.
well all the time. So.
There was, remember the Dirty Dining, Dallas versus Fort Worth, that was big 25 years ago. And it was people that were brought in to Fort Worth to say, we're going to run it at a higher level, better than the state. And they were aggressive. And
Are you talking about the inspectors or
the city of Fort Worth?
Oh, okay.
Everybody involved. And there was a lot of publicity that came on. We're going to be much tighter than Dallas has ever been. That's dirty dining, you know, in Dallas. And they were intimidating, you know, when they came through, because they were going to shape our town up.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of went away after a couple of years, and different things that took place. But what I've noticed is that the health department is understaffed, and we kind of know when they're going to come. There's like 3 visits a year. Mm-hmm. And so you know, naturally you're more aware at certain times of the year after the holidays, and you got to put your restaurant back together and paint and refresh it and all those kind of things. But the worst thing you can do is ignore them.
Right.
And don't give it to somebody who doesn't hold a position in your restaurant.
Right.
Show the respect that you need to show them and that you appreciate them being there.
Right.
And take charge. Go, let me show you what we've done. Let me show you a HACCP program if that's what they need. Typically it's refrigeration, it's rotation of food, it's hand washing, you know, sanitation, and all, clean cutting boards and things of that nature. It's not
Covering, labeling.
It's not real complicated, you know, fish at 34 and temperatures of the line. They've actually lowered some of the standards on temperatures over time. But if you got dead equipment or things, you're going to have pests that are hiding in those old ovens or you know, those places that are warm and things of that nature. If you get behind, then you're going to draw attention. Mm-hmm. And who wants negative attention in the newspaper? And 20 years ago, and I might be wrong on the dates, they were exposing everything. It was really tough on restaurants, and I think it's pretty good. I haven't had a challenge with anybody in a few years, but I have had challenges. You know, just because.
I think if you just work with, I mean,
you don't know who you're
it's
gonna
public. You know, it's like you said, give the respect that they deserve, and
Mm-hmm.
it's for public safety. And you just work with them and give them, you know, I say the professional courtesy on both sides, and then they see that you're working too. You know, we got, you know, old building. We're always having to redo stuff, add stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're always wanting us to update, which is great. We work with them, and they understand. You know, we don't have the luxury of being able to just, you know, push a button and start over brand new like a brand new deal. But we're always trying to do things each and every time to better it little by little. You know, obviously from a cash flow standpoint, we don't have the luxury of being able to just go, I want a brand new building. You know, we have to work with what we got. But they, you know, they've
become more partner.
well, and that's
I think so, yeah.
and I think that's important because again, it has to be a partnership because at the end of the day, from the tax dollars that we generate for everybody, I'm not going to say we help pay, but you know, we're a big component of the community. But it's fair on both sides to you know, work together.
Yeah, you didn't used to get the rechecks and the revisits, and now you get a bad score, but they come right back and say, okay, they've gone from 40 demerits to 8 demerits, you know, and people can be reassured. So you didn't used to get that. It would be, you got something bad happen, it'd be a long time before you got another chance.
I wish they'd change that demerits. That word to me is that means negative automatically.
And
if
a lot of
you've
times,
even got one demerit, I mean,
a lot of times they come in the middle of lunch, and you've done served 150 plates, and you got cheese shredded everywhere and stuff, and they're like, you know, it's like, you know, can you let us catch up? Because when they come in during lunch, and that's rough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got a line, and you got all this going on because people are in a lunch hour, and they're trying to hurry, and
Sure, it's tough.
but it you know, it is what it is. You just make They may fix it and go on.
How do you
And the
guys-
points are worth different amounts as
Right.
well, depending on if it's
Right.
a chemical, you know, in a food preparation
Or if your
area.
refrigerator's not working or something like
Right.
that.
Mhm.
You know, the other thing is COS, correct on site.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, just react. You may help your score a lot just by, you know what, I was getting to that, but I'm gonna fix it now.
Right.
You know, a scoop that's not in the right place or whatever it might be. You know, so that's part of the joining forces and partnership with them. You're engaged. If you don't, you're just asking for trouble.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you don't want to be combative. Again, it's a partnership because
Right.
they, when I say the power, they're the governing body.
Mhm.
Well, a lot more people look on the websites now. It's been on the websites for 30 years. Well, it was, like you say, it was in the media. Houston used to have whole TV series about and that, of course, they had the flamboyant reporter who would, about this restaurant had slime in the ice machine, and things like that. Yeah, exactly. So you had all that, and it came to Dallas and Fort Worth, and the Star Telegram didn't run it for a long time, but once it got so popular online, and people would say, "Hey, I saw online the blah 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 blah," and we thought, well, maybe we ought to do something too. But Larry, I used to see scores and reports that I thought were not fair. I mean, I've always said, if you passed, it's probably safe. Or I'd see reports of restaurants that were punished for having, a crack in the flooring or something like that. But now I think most of the reports I see are pretty fair. And it's, speaking of being fair, I ought to say Uncle Julio's is repaired and reopened.
Yes.
Everything they've done is repair their sewage problem that they had, their drainage problem. They went through, I think, a sale and another bankruptcy. They changed hands a couple of times, and the corporate owners weren't doing the maintenance they needed to do over there, so they came in and did more than $1 million worth of work. And I don't know those folks. I've only gone there once since it reopened, but I do think that they've fixed their problems, and they're addressing the problems, and they're serving the customers.
Yeah, they were down for 2 or 3 weeks.
They had the worst health score that I ever remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But their recent health score was really good.
Yeah.
So social media, not to kind of change
Oh,
subject
my
and stuff, but social media, the world that we live in now.
I'm glad we put you at the head of the table.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if that. I think I kind of got the end. I don't know if that.
Social media
Said
is
the
the
butt.
judge, the jury, and the executioner.
It is. That's kind of.
Yeah.
It is. It's become the world we live in,
That's what we work for.
and that's who we work for. It is. I mean, and when I say learning minutely, it's not daily or weekly. It's like learning minutely. We've been trying to figure out the social media world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, all right, are we taking pictures of our food today? Now the new thing are these reels, and people want to see your employees and working. Just it's interesting to see how it has evolved, and that in culmination, obviously, with I call the keyboard tough guys in regards to the reviews, the world of the reviews that we live in. And, obviously, when I say the good, the bad, the ugly, with all of it, we strive each and every time to try to give the best service each and every time. But there's unfortunately we have humans that work for us; they're not robots, and you get someone, and you get a customer who's just not happy. I don't care. I always say there are certain folks that you can serve diamonds to, and they're mad at you because they wanted emeralds.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then, in the same token, it's a good thing that sometimes you didn't do the service, and you got to look internally to find out, hey, this server's been, had a bad day, and they've been rough, and so. But it is amazing how when you made the term, that's who we work for. That everything is predicated on this review, and everybody from out of the state, out of the area. First thing they do is they want to do these Google reviews, and I just wish in this world, I say obviously from the Old South standpoint, how many folks we serve a week, in the range 8,000 to 10,000 folks a week. I wish, and I know this is fair. I always use this term, but it's kind of like my workout, my gym. I can work out 6 months straight and lose 3 pounds. I have a bad week and it's all back to nothing. And the point being is, if I serve 100 folks, well, and the two folks that we didn't get their chicken fried steaks out right, who do you think we're going to hear from?
Oh yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? And I wish, and we try to, you know, our customers, I wish, and this is for the viewers out there, for anybody, granted, we want to hear when we do something wrong. Because that's we don't know what we don't know. So it's important for people to speak up when that happens. And I want that to happen so we can go fix it.
Correct.
But you wish they'd tell.
But I wish they'd tell us I wish they would also give us the positive. People are so quick to give you the negative, but they don't give you the, hey, you've been working, you've been up all night long doing your deal. You're here working 18 hours straight, and we had a great meal. Thank you. You know, I wish that balance was a little, you know, I know it's never going to be 50-50 or perfect, but I just wish it would be nice to hear more, you know, and I say from an appreciation standpoint, because you know you're going to hear it if something isn't right. I just wish you'd hear, you know what, thank you for taking that extra step and doing something, you know what I mean, on the other side of it. And it's...
Well, how about if you don't like your food when you're there, we'll give it to you. But then you don't even say anything when you're there. You're just going to blast me on social media.
Yeah, it's tough. You know,
and I don't know if you liked it or not. I don't even know if you even ate all your food.
Or give us a chance to fix it,
Yes.
and things like that, you know, because again, we want nothing more to take care of everybody. No, there's no one sitting at this table, I can assure you, that does not want to make sure that their guest has a perfect experience. That's what we strive for each and every day.
I think we're going to have those people that don't matter to
Sure.
our company, and you can track those people. You can go and look at them and find out who they do like. And I had one, the only person they liked was Goody Goody Liquor Store. They hated everybody.
Well, and you get,
You know, I mean, so they're out there, and our floor management, you take these situations, these challenges, and you look at your training, your management training. What are they doing? Are they on the floor? Are they talking to the guests? Because they'll pick up on things.
Sure.
If the food's not, if they haven't touched the food, and so there's certain things that makes us better. It makes us better.
Heard.
And so you can squash a little bit of that, but the person who's got in mind to take you down, they're going to be there no matter what.
Sure.
Right.
That's part of
Well, we need to be
Serial
sympathetic. Let's be sympathetic to Rex, because he does business in Burleson, which is one of the most intense social media markets I've ever seen. And they don't have really a newspaper or a news page where people have conversations, so everybody has their own petty little social media page, and everybody in Burleson wants to judge everybody else. So it's a tough field down there. But it is it's something that we all deal with. People get on the computer in a bad mood, and people want to show off and talk about how much people always want to get attention by going against the grain. If you get on the computer, if everybody else likes a place and you say, that's terrible, it's awful, don't ever go there,
right,
that's how you get attention. And so you have to understand these people are expressing their own by griping on social media. A lot of times these people are just expressing their own insecurity. Larry, you deal with this all the time.
Every day.
People just wanting to fuss to be different and to get attention. But it's there, and it's now, you talk about the people doing videos on the TikTok and the Reels and all that, where they want to make a little mini movie, and then they post it and they get great attention, and it might be something you look at and go, wow, it's like there was one the other day about the Flying Carpet Turkish restaurant on Magnolia, and it said you could eat great food in a log cabin. And I never thought of it. Flying Carpet's not a log cabin, but then I look, it's got like 17,000 views, I think, all right, that's, if it brings more people in, then good.
Well, we have our, down in Burleson, we have our little Bella, our robot, which is, it's been a great thing overall, but it's amazing on the social media side that we caught a lot of negative flack for that. I mean, it's a pure marketing. It's for the children, and I say the children. It's for the children who are young and the children that are old, because we get a lot of folks that are like, that's the cool deal. The fact that thing has the ability to go and take food to the table, but of course we got a lot of negative stuff. Oh, you're trying to replace your staff with robots and da 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 da. We put a deal in there that said, now hiring, please, we'd love for you to come work for, the robot is there for marketing. It's not taking anybody's spot by any stretch of the imagination. It's a marketing deal. But when you see some of that stuff on social media about how they're going to bash you because of that, it's like, the kids love it. Comes and sings happy birthday to you, and Bella, we always say she's kind of temperamental. She has her mind of her own. But
so I think that the end result is what your ratings are. You want to keep your ratings 4 and above.
Sure.
Yelp's going to be a mess, but Google,
Yelp, I feel and I don't use the term mafioso. I think Yelp, and I think y'all all will agree with me that Yelp has a direct lineage of how much it's amazing. We'll get someone from Yelp that will call us, and we'll spend a little bit of money, but we'll get someone that says, hey, we want to upgrade you to this package. And if we say it's not in our budget, it's amazing. The next 24 to 48 hours, we get a negative. It's like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
And, Google's algorithms and all that stuff are a lot more down the middle. But Yelp, for everyone I've talked to, in our experience, we've used Yelp forever. Yelp's a little more, it seems like they're a little more aggressive and with their sales and marketing. It's almost like they turn a knob on you, like whatever, if you don't adhere to what they want you to do, that they kind of want to squeeze you a little bit. But
if your staff,
probably shouldn't say that out in public, but you know what?
It's true.
They're probably working on you right now.
Yeah, I know. Dang it! I just got 2 negative reviews.
if your staff is, if you're slipping away from you a little bit, you had a bad month, and your staff can help you because the competent staff can say, "Hey, if you like what I did, my service, can you?"
Most definitely.
I don't like to do it too much because then all of a sudden it
feels like it's sold and bought.
Yeah, but I think at times it's not a bad thing.
It's a balance, and again, the whole thing's a balance. That's why I bring it up. It's just we know we're going to hear when we do something wrong, and we want to hear that so we can fix it. Mm-hmm. But it's just you want to also hear too if you're working on a new project or new something, selling something on the floor. It'd be nice to hear something positive. This is working. Oh, these people did like this. You know what I mean? And you'd be able to have that if people were more apt to give you the positive reinforcement, right, that people are so quick to do the negative. Mm-hmm. But but the whole social media world, it's like, but that whole thing is these reels, and we have a little marketing team, and they speak geo fencing. Yeah. What other fancy other means? I hear some of these words and I'm like looking up. First thing I do, I get on my AI and I'm like, what is that? But like the geo fencing world, that's an interesting perspective on the social media that I'm pretty new to, that has the ability to. These phones are so smart that
they know exactly where you are.
They show you everything. I mean, like I'll talk about, hey, I want to go on a trip to Antarctica. Next thing you know, my phone's showing me, closed to buy. And here's what you need to go when you head there. And it's just amazing.
Oh, we'll all get some just from you saying that.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll all have a trip then.
Well, I tell people, what I use. People say, well, you don't believe all that stuff on Yelp, do you? I tell you, I use the pictures on Yelp and Google. Before I go to a restaurant, I'll look at the photos of the food, because I'll look and say, that looks good. Say, oh, that sounded good on the menu, but that didn't look good. I don't think I'll have that. That looks like it'd make a good photo. I may have that. So I do look at the photos. I think the photo, and you can tell whether they're professional photos or whether they're amateur photos. I do look at the photos. I think those are useful. I don't think the reviews are very useful. I'm like you. I think if something's under a 4, you got to ask questions. But I do think some of it helps, and I'll use it. I think people ought to scope out a restaurant before they go. So I all the time I deal with people who went to a restaurant and they say, oh my God, I went to Little Germany and I didn't like the coq au vin. And well, it's like you didn't go to Little Germany for the coq au vin. You went for the German food. It's like I go to people and I'll just be so sick because they'll go to a restaurant and they'll order exactly the wrong thing. And I'll say, it's just important to check things out before you go.
That's what I did. I go look at the menu and look at pictures and reviews.
Yeah.
To see, what's this restaurant about?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, it's pushing pushing your signature items like you touched on the Dutch baby and things like that. That's obviously our.
That makes a great photo. That sells itself on those photos.
Yeah.
On those photo reviews.
Yeah. So that's
The Dutch baby combo. I use that photo over and over just because it looks so good.
yeah, well, we appreciate it.
Today we talked about a lot of things, just like your buffet, that's a cool thing to know. I didn't know that. But all four of you all have, we talked about the same kind of problems and issues, because you don't have the corporate guys up in Chicago or New York sending people down here to help you. Y'all are on the front line. You're our local guys and girls, but you've got all these problems and issues that you solve. You've got to manage people, you've got to manage food, you've got to deal with the city, you've got to deal with reviews, you've got to deal with the Liquor Control Board, and parking, and those are all issues that your customers don't think about. Well, they're doing a pretty good job at having a good plate of food with all the stuff in the background that we don't always think about. And this has really been good for me, and I know it's good for the audience to see that there's real people behind that plate of food, or a cup of coffee, or a margarita, that are out there on the front line fighting every day to bring a quality product at a reasonable price to be part of Fort Worth. I appreciate y'all. And it's really been nice to have you here, Bud, because you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the food business, and you can believe you knew all the menus.
Well, I've been talking to
you must go there a lot.
I've been talking to these folks for some of them for 40 years. So some of them I was in their restaurants the first day they opened. And so I'm grateful for all the readership of the Star Telegram and StarTelegram.com over the years. I'm grateful that everybody still, reads. We print so much about food because people read about it and love it.
Well, you've done a lot to build the restaurant community here too.
Thank you.
We do have a community,
We do.
and it makes a big difference.
And it's good when competition could get together like this and talk and
But we're not competition.
No.
We don't.
Your family.
We're all family.
You
Our
mentioned Chicago, that's our
That's the
competition.
corporate
All of
dollars are our
the groups
competition.
coming in,
Yep.
and they do have unlimited funds, and it's hard to understand, but buying local really means a lot to all of us independents.
What's important, Rick, is that the money comes in, but the money also goes out. And with all these folks, the money stays. And it's important to support local restaurants, because local restaurants support local vendors, they support local banks, they support local companies. Your money is multiplied so many times over when you spend it in a local restaurant. I have nothing against the people who have franchises; they run good restaurants. But buying from a local restaurant, you see people right here. You don't see the people who run the big corporations. But you see all the people right here who run these restaurants, and they want to see you and talk to you.
And then y'all give back to the community in different ways. And you're part of our community. Not that the franchisees aren't part of our community, but y'all took a big risk, and you have those problems every day that you solve, and you can go in and have an enjoyable meal and a good experience.
Well, we appreciate that, because like I said, it's not. I laugh. I say, head of HR, head busboy, head everything. You're kind of looking at it, so it's kind of jack of all trades and a master of none. But it's good to hear and appreciate that we aren't backed by big hedge funds, and it's our livelihoods at stake each and every day.
We're all just real people. That's why I came up with this idea, and I wanted to start with you people first, because y'all are on the front line. When people go to work that work for a big company, they know pretty much what their day is going to be. When y'all go to work, you've got in mind when you open that door, this and this and this, and then there's 1,000 things that happen. The fryer went out, the refrigeration's out. You got to think on your feet, because you got to open the doors. You got to sell food. So I think that restaurant owners ought to be our politicians because they think on their feet.
Larry,
I've
you
always
could,
thought
you
that.
could get your new neighbor in to talk about restaurants. You got the new Mediterranean restaurant opening next door.
Right.
Have you ever gotten him in?
Matt Johnson's deal.
Tim Love.
Oh, Tim Love, yeah. Tim and I, we do interviews, just not on camera.
He's going to be your neighbor here. Meraki opens next Wednesday or Thursday over here at the pickleball court.
He has opened so many new restaurants. The Greek Place. How many restaurants does Tim own now?
I think 11, and I'm working off the top of my head.
One thing, Tim Love, thank you. He gives me $5,000 every year for the bikes.
See, there you
Thank
There
you.
you go.
So no, but he is, yeah. I do detail work for him, and he's got a wide spread of restaurants.
Well, he's looking forward to being over here, I know.
Yeah. And then Burke Harvey office is right there next to Rogers.
Burke is a partner in Westland who
Yeah.
owns
JD's.
JD's Hamburgers, West Side Cafe, Margie's Italian Gardens,
Litos.
and Polito's. And Burke is a partner in that. With all those, look at all those restaurants. Talk about Fort Worth memories. You know, bringing Margie's and Polito's back. You know, from bringing back these old names of the past. You don't see another city where anybody
No.
is brave enough to do that, where they take a brand and a popular old traditional restaurant and completely revive it.
Right.
And say, okay, we're going to give this a new look and some new coat of paint and some contemporary approach.
And they've done a good job.
And they really, and they really succeed, and they really, people go, oh my gosh, let's go. You know, and so yeah, Burke has done a fantastic.
There was going to be
Burke
one
and
more. Gigi, I'd invited her, but she's had to go out of town or something yesterday. She told me early on, a couple of weeks ago, but Gigi's on it. She's hands-on. When they opened Polito's for the trial run over here on Polito Street, she was there and she came over. We had one of our luncheons there. But yeah,
She's great. Gigi's great.
She
does a good job.
even has that restaurant out in Eastland, you know, Polito's.
Right, they've reopened the Polito's in Eastland recently, along with the one in Willow Park.
But,
Yeah.
you know, we haven't talked about the impact of the stock show and rodeo, because that's a big impact on your business too. And, you know, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, we just finished our second year of international wine competition. And we have that in October every year. And they bring judges from all over the country. It's a closed competition to select wine for, you know, the stock show grand champion. And then we have the bubbles and bites at the stock show. And you might consider checking into that next year so you can be a part of that bubbles and bites.
We were in it this year, but yeah.
But that's, you know, the Houston Stock Show comes up and helps us at the Fort Worth Stock Show to set everything up and help us grow it, because it's a big, you wouldn't think wine would be a big deal, but you know, they get raised about $1 million a year down at the Houston Stock Show just in their wine deal like this. So we're really excited with the stock show to have that, and then to be able to start putting those wines that win the competition into the restaurants, the local restaurants, so you know, be all part of that. So that's just
We participated in the Bubbles Bites this year for the first time.
Seeing else.
We're about 5 minutes out of 2 hours, and I know all of y'all have got restaurants to open. So if y'all want to go around the table one more time and tell the viewers about your restaurant, start with you.
Now be sure and give your address. Everybody on every story that's posted, everyone, what's the address? What's the address?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the
On your
address?
website.
Okay, well, Mary from Enchiladas Olay, 1208 West Magnolia Avenue, 76104. Website is www.enchiladasolay.com. And thank you to all our wonderful customers who have supported us through all the moves we've had and all the turmoil and everything we've gone through. And we hope you have a wonderful 2026 and hope to see you soon.
Awesome. Rex Benson with Old South Pancake House, 1509 South University, as well as our Burleson location, which is 225 East Renfro. And, you know, the Old South Pancake House, it's oldsouthpancakehouse.com. And, you know, we've been a staple in Fort Worth for Well, this next year will be our 65th year, and we appreciate each and every one. It's customer and patronage. It's it means a lot. And now we have a new concept of Rex's Bar and Grill, which is now, where I say new, we're not new anymore. We're 15 months old now. I feel like it kind of feels like it's been about 4 years, but we've been really doing solid there. But we've got half price pizzas, longest happy hour, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're really excited about it becoming, it's more than a sports bar, it's an entertainment venue. And it's something that it's a chef inspired menu that we really want to continue to work with, with the years that we've had at Old South, and make a spot for everybody in Fort Worth. So come out and see us. And we're at 1501 South University, which is right next door. We're in the same parking lot as Old South at University, 1501 South University.
I'm Michael Thompson from Michael's Cuisine on Upper West 7th Street at 3413. We're up the hill headed west from University just before Montgomery, and I'm very fortunate to have been where I am now. We're in our 34th year, and that's a lot to say for my clients and the people that have supported us over the years, certainly through all the construction. And the building of Dickey's was a wonderful thing, and we were ready for that to get here, and it did. So we're real close to Dickey's for Dickey's events, and now the whole Crescent section of West 7th and Camp Bowie is about to be close to being completed, and that's going to bring us a whole lot of new customer base. Hopefully the financial district of Fort Worth is going to move our way, and the big Camp Bowie construction, as we call it, Camp Bumpy. I think it's still bumpy, but it's going to be beautifully landscaped, and it'll be a lot easier to get to our place now. And we do have a large parking lot. michaelscuisine.com.
Dennis McFarland, Blue Mesa Grill. This is our 30th year. We were at University for 22 years, so we're almost 9 years at 5th and Carroll. We have a 8,000 square foot second floor for banquets. So we're doing all kind of events. It's like a shell. You can turn it into whatever you want to. My staff's been with me a lot of years, and so it's a family restaurant. I have my chef has been with me since we first came to Fort Worth, Manny Huerta. But we've built a good reputation in town with all these relationships. They go all different directions, and so I get to visit with folks on a day-to-day basis. We'll help anybody out. We'll share information. We'll talk about the restaurants. We'll talk about anything if we can help anybody out. I'm on the floor. The management's on the floor. We're easy to find. You won't have to look far. Our Wednesday buffet is the best deal in town. $12 buffet from 11 to 2, and it's a miniature Sunday brunch, but it's an amazing thing. So we love having something we can offer during the week. Our brunches we're known for our Sunday brunch. Come early, come hungry. But this is Fort Worth is an amazing place to do business, and just let us know if we can help you in any way. My email is dmcfarlin@bluemesagrill.com, and we're at 612 Carroll Street, and we're right across from Montgomery Plaza, and we have plenty of parking, so you should be able to get in and out whatever time frame you have.
Where he's at, I was there 25 years. And where I'm at, he was up front 22 years. Yeah, my detail shop. There's a lot of dirty cars cleaned where your business is now. Yeah, but it's amazing. So I want to thank all of y'all. Y'all are great people.
Thank you.
We've got a great community, and we're going to keep doing these Saturday roundtables and have different businesses and folks, and we're going to have y'all back again, and Gigi Howell and other Tim Love, whoever wants to come in. But really, that's my whole deal is we need to be together. I always refer on my group, we don't say the word Dallas, we say the city to the east.
Mm-hmm.
That's the enemy, is the city to the east.
It's not competition.
It's not competition. But no, y'all are wonderful, and every one of y'all, I've eaten in every one of y'all's restaurants. They're really good. So,
We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
good. Business is going to get better. We've got that World Cup coming in. Like you say, it's going to blow our minds what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it's going to also, for y'all's, when things get real crowded and hectic, people's tempers, and you talking about social media, they won't even get to the parking lot and they'll start downgrading you.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people on the group, don't do that. You know, give everybody, if you got a complaint with any one of y'all, just go see them.
Right.
Say, hey, I'm going to pay for the food, but I don't think that was right. And because everybody wants to fix the problem. And you can do a lot of damage with one of these.
Yeah.
I mean, phones that put people out of business, people that have worked their lives to, I mean, just like you say, if you don't have a good week, guess what? You don't get a check. The employees get a check, but you'll be lucky if you get yours.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, every day has to be perfect, and that's just not the case. Things happen, you know? So I'm glad y'all are part of this first pilot show. I hope it's going to get bigger. The possibilities are 250,000 people. We got a long reach. We're in every state in the United States and 141 countries. Somebody just went on there and said, I'm watching from Germany, and another one's in Japan. So thank y'all. And thank Rick and Tyler and Dusty, and Aaron, our guys that helped make this thing work today. Tyler, you can kill it whenever you get a chance, so we know we don't have any open mics.
Larry, thank you for loving Fort Worth.
Yes.
I love Fort Worth.
Absolutely.
I remember when I first interviewed